Hello and welcome to Coffee English, where every cup of knowledge makes your English stronger. I want to start today with a story that might change how you think about learning English forever. But first, let me tell you about an amazing person who inspired this entire episode. Her name is Chris, and she runs a popular YouTube channel where she teaches people how to master languages. Chris is a polyglot, someone who speaks multiple languages fluently. But what makes her special isn't just her language skills. It's her ability to break down complex learning into simple, actionable steps that anyone can follow. Recently, I watched one of Chris's videos that completely changed my perspective on language learning. She shared a framework so simple yet so powerful that I knew I had to share it with you today. This episode is my way of taking her brilliant method and presenting it in the most accessible and useful way possible. What you're about to hear might challenge everything you believe about learning English. Are you ready? Picture this scenario. Two people start learning English on the same day. Sarah decides she needs to be serious about it. She buys expensive textbooks, enrolls in a premium course, and plans to study 3 hours every evening. She's motivated, determined, and ready to sacrifice everything for her goal. Mark takes a different approach. He commits to just 15 minutes daily. Nothing more, nothing less. Sarah laughs at his approach. 15 minutes? That's nothing. How can anyone learn a language in 15 minutes? Fast forward 6 months. Sarah gave up after 3 weeks. Her ambitious plans crashed against the reality of daily life. Work got busy, friends invited her out, life happened. Meanwhile, Mark never missed a day. Not once. Today, his English flows naturally while Sarah's books gather dust. This isn't fiction. This is the reality of how our brains actually work, and it's exactly what Chris discovered in her years of language learning and teaching. What if everything you believed about learning English was backwards? What if the secret to fluency wasn't found in expensive courses, intensive boot camps, or cramming vocabulary for hours? What if the answer was so simple that most people completely overlook it? The truth is, our brains are designed to create habits through repetition, not through intensity. When we do something every single day, our brain says, "This must be important. Let me make this easier." But when we try to do too much at once, our brain treats it as a temporary emergency, not a permanent change. Chris understood this perfectly when she created her revolutionary 3-level system. She realized that most people fail at language learning not because they lack talent, but because they lack the right approach to building habits. Let me share the exact system that has transformed thousands of learners worldwide. Chris's first level is beautifully simple, yet incredibly powerful. Level 1, 15 minutes for 15 consecutive days. It consists of 13 minutes of input, listening, reading, watching, and 2 minutes of output, speaking, writing, thinking. This might sound easy, but here's what makes it brilliant. You must be 100% consistent. If you miss even one day, you start over from day 1. But that's harsh, you might think. Actually, it's genius. Chris isn't being cruel. She's training you in the most important skill for language learning, showing up every day, no matter what. Think about it this way. If you can't maintain 15 minutes daily for 15 days, how will you ever maintain a lifelong learning habit? This level forces you to discover your real commitment level. Many people think they're ready to learn English, but they're not ready to change their daily routine. Here's how you can structure these 15 minutes during your commute. Listen to an English podcast while reading the transcript. During your walk, talk to yourself about what you heard. Record your voice to track your progress. The key is making it part of your existing routine, not adding another task to your busy day. Once you've proven to yourself that you can be perfectly consistent for 15 days, you move to level 2. This is where the magic really begins. Level 2, 30 minutes for 30 consecutive days, 25 minutes of input and 5 minutes of output. By this point, something remarkable has happened. Your brain has started creating pathways for this new routine. The daily habit isn't a struggle anymore, it's becoming part of who you are. The additional 5 minutes of output time is crucial here. You're not just consuming English, you're actively producing it. Speak to yourself about your day. Write short reflections about what you learned. Think in English during your daily activities. This is when your brain starts building the connections needed for fluency. And yes, the same rule applies. Miss one day, start level 2 over. This isn't punishment, it's training in resilience. You're learning that consistency matters more than perfection. The final level is where true transformation happens. Level 3, 1 hour for 30 consecutive days, 45 minutes of input and 15 minutes of output. By this point, you're not someone trying to learn English. You're someone who learns English daily. This isn't just a habit anymore, it's part of your identity. 1 hour might sound like a lot, but remember, you've trained for this moment. You started with 15 minutes and gradually built up your capacity. Your brain is ready for this challenge. The 15 minutes of daily output in level 3 is where fluency really develops. You're training your brain to access English automatically, to think in English, to respond in English without translation. Chris's system succeeds because it honors how change actually happens in real life. Most language learning programs ignore the psychological reality of habit formation. They give you content, but no system for consistent engagement. Here's what makes Chris's approach different. It starts impossibly small. 15 minutes feels achievable even on your worst day. When something feels manageable, you're more likely to start and continue. It builds gradually. Your confidence and capacity grow together. By the time you reach 1 hour daily, you've already proven to yourself that you can maintain consistency. It focuses on systems, not goals. Instead of saying, "I want to be fluent," you're saying, "I am someone who learns English for 15 minutes daily." This identity shift is incredibly powerful. It treats failure as feedback. When you restart a level, you're not failing, you're learning something valuable about your patterns and limits. Here's something Chris understood intuitively, that psychology research confirms small wins create momentum for bigger wins. Every day you complete your 15 minutes, you're not just learning English, you're proving to yourself that you're someone who keeps commitments. This builds what psychologists call self-efficacy, the belief that you can achieve what you set out to do. People with high self-efficacy persist longer, recover faster from setbacks, and achieve more ambitious goals. Think about how this applies to your English learning. When you complete level 1, you have proof that you can be consistent for 15 days straight. This proof gives you confidence to attempt level 2. When you complete level 2, you have evidence that you can handle increased challenges. This evidence propels you toward level 3. By the time you finish all 3 levels, you haven't just built an English learning habit. You've transformed your relationship with commitment itself. You've become someone who does what they say they'll do. Let me give you some practical examples of how to integrate Chris's system into your daily routine. Morning routine: listen to English podcasts during your morning coffee. Spend 2 minutes summarizing what you heard in English. Commute time: use public transport or driving time for English audio. Practice speaking during your walk from the station. Evening wind down: read English articles before bed. Write 3 sentences about your day in English. Exercise time: listen to English while working out. Use your cool-down time to think through what you learned. The key is attachment, connecting your English learning to something you already do every day. This makes the new habit feel natural rather than forced. Completing Chris's system takes roughly 2.5 months if you do it perfectly on the first try. But here's the reality: most people will need multiple attempts, and that's completely normal and valuable. Some people complete level 1 in their first attempt, but need 3 tries to finish level 2. Others breeze through the first 2 levels, but struggle with level 3. Each restart teaches you something important about yourself and your patterns. After you complete all 3 levels, you'll have developed something more valuable than just English skills. You'll have self-awareness: you understand how you work best, what challenges you, and what motivates you. Resilience: you've learned that setbacks aren't failures, they're part of the growth process. Identity shift: you see yourself as someone who learns consistently, not just someone who wants to improve. Systems thinking: you understand that results come from consistent processes, not dramatic efforts. Most importantly, you'll be able to ask better questions. Why do I struggle with consistency? What patterns do I keep repeating? How can I design my environment to support my goals? This self-knowledge is more valuable than any language technique because it applies to every area of your life. Here's something that might surprise you about Chris's system. The real power isn't in the individual study sessions, it's in the compound effect of consistency. 15 minutes daily equals 105 minutes weekly. That's nearly 2 hours. Over a month, it's 8 hours. Over a year, it's 91 hours of focused practice. But these aren't just any 91 hours, they're consecutive, building hours where each session reinforces the previous one. Compare this to someone who studies 4 hours 1 weekend per month. Same total time, but scattered impact. The daily learner builds momentum, while the weekend warrior constantly rebuilds context. But the numbers only tell part of the story. The real magic happens in your brain during those consistent daily sessions. Each day of practice strengthens neural pathways. Each output session trains your brain to access English automatically. Each restart builds your resilience muscle. After months of this consistency, something remarkable happens. English stops being something you study and becomes something you simply do. This is when true fluency begins to emerge. Today's phrase perfectly captures the spirit of Chris's methodology. Show up and trust the process. This powerful expression comes from the world of professional coaching, but it applies perfectly to language learning. Let me break it down for you. Show up means doing your 15 minutes even when you don't feel like it, even when you're tired, busy, or unmotivated, even when you think you're not making progress. Consistency beats intensity every single time. Trust the process means believing that small daily actions create big results, even when you can't see immediate changes. It means understanding that learning happens gradually, often below the level of conscious awareness. This phrase becomes your anchor during difficult periods. Some days, your English practice will feel effortless and enjoyable. Other days, sitting down for 15 minutes will require enormous willpower. Both types of days are important, but the difficult days might actually be more valuable because they build your consistency muscle. When you feel frustrated because you can't see progress, remember, show up and trust the process. When you're tempted to skip a day because you're busy, remember, show up and trust the process. When you have to restart a level, remember, show up and trust the process. Native speakers didn't develop fluency overnight. They made millions of mistakes, self-corrected gradually, and improved through years of consistent exposure. You're following the same natural process, just with more intention and awareness. Show up and trust the process also reminds you that perfection isn't the goal, participation is. Every day you engage with English, regardless of how perfectly you perform, you're making progress. Every restart teaches you something valuable. Every small session contributes to your long-term success. As we reach the end of our journey together today, I want you to imagine something. Picture yourself 6 months from now, after consistently following Chris's system. You wake up in the morning and your first thought happens in English. You listen to your favorite podcast during breakfast, understanding everything naturally. At work, you confidently join English conversations. In the evening, you watch movies without subtitles, laughing at jokes and understanding cultural references. This isn't fantasy. This is what happens when you commit to consistent daily practice using Chris's proven framework. But here's the deeper transformation. You don't just speak English better, you see yourself differently. You're someone who keeps commitments, someone who builds skills through patience and persistence, someone who trusts the process even when results aren't immediately visible. This identity shift affects every area of your life. The same consistency muscle you build through English learning helps you exercise regularly, eat healthier, advance in your career, and maintain relationships. Chris's system isn't just about language, it's about becoming the type of person who achieves their goals. The beauty of Chris's approach is that starting requires almost nothing. 15 minutes, one simple commitment. No special equipment, no perfect conditions, no ideal timing. Just the decision to begin and the willingness to show up. Think about where you'll be if you start today versus where you'll be if you wait for the perfect moment. The gap between where you are and where you want to be will only be bridged by consistent action, not perfect planning. Your English learning journey doesn't need to be complicated, expensive, or overwhelming. It just needs to be consistent. 15 minutes today, 15 minutes tomorrow, 15 minutes every day until it becomes as automatic as brushing your teeth. The revolution in your English skills begins with a single decision, the decision to show up and trust the process. Your future fluent self is waiting. The only question is, will you take the first 15-minute step today? This is Coffee English, where small habits create extraordinary transformations. Thank you for joining me today, and remember, your English revolution starts with just 15 minutes. Show up, trust the process, and watch as your life transforms one day at a time. Start today. Your future self will thank you.